make sure it's doing its thing.
Do we need to switch to your Cantrips canteen or?
No, we'll just stay here and that'll be fine.
Ah, that works.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it'll work better this way. But we are now live. Hi, everybody. We are here today with a special guest, BirdieMaps, who makes a lot of really amazing maps that I use in pretty much everything for Remnant and one shots and so many things. And I think we've done one other video before where we talked about tips and tricks. This time we asked the community for submissions, so some of their homemade maps, and we're going to improve them. Well, Birdie's going to improve them, and I'm going to sit here with commentary because I'm not as skilled as a map maker. But if you guys have any questions or anything, please drop them in the chat, and I will be keeping an eye on that. That's on this screen, so when people see me looking away. But I think our first map, right, is the crypt. Is that correct?
No, it's the cave.
The cave.
The crypt is next.
Oh, the crypt is next. Let me change that one.
Right.
I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, say something
sure.
fun.
Yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm BirdieMaps, or real name Thomas. And today I want to improve, as KYLIE said, some of your maps, which I chose because those maps have some classic newbie mistakes. Is kind of wrong, but some classic flaws that can be changed very easily. Yeah. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, please. And I will
All right.
do some magic. Here we go.
So
the cave. So I do have a picture of the cave on the stream. I don't think you can see it, Birdie, but on the screen in the top right up here, this is the map that was submitted to us by Kirsty from the Discord. So if you want to submit more maps, you should join the Discord server. But this one in the top right was submitted by her. And yeah, so here, go ahead.
okay. So I did some preparation for this map, like for the others too, just to save some time so we can cover more maps than would normally possible. And for this one, I can't see the original one. I have to pick it myself here. Yeah. Classic mistake I see everyone does. It's very square. It's not taking up. It's taking up the whole canvas, and yeah, you should leave some space. And as you see, I already drew the shape of the cave outline, which is similar to the original one, but the whole map is slightly bigger. And I have a tendency to angle my map slightly, so yeah. After I place the outer cliffs, I usually go on with more cliffs.
To add like variety to it, or
to create more depth, basically. Okay. So I think they're already on layer 4, which I recommend everybody to stick to a certain set of rules you pick for yourself. For me, layer 4 is the walls layer. And go start here. Yeah, and this will take a while, so we can talk in the meantime.
Yeah. So I like, you've made some other map that I don't remember the name of it. You have so many maps, but there is one where I saw that you did this technique where you put like layers of cave walls over it. And I don't know why, but I had never thought of doing that, like to add more depth and make it layered like that. So I learned that just from looking at your maps, to be honest. But
yeah, that's something I improved over time, I would say. So most difficult part for me was creating cliffs in general when I started out. I was never satisfied with how everybody else was describing it. Most people describe it, you make one big wall, then you make a smaller path beneath it and a smaller one. And this was too monotone, in my opinion. And therefore, I was figuring out, trying to find as much cliff assets as possible, and in the end, I had to make them myself.
So you made some of
Yeah,
these yourself?
yeah. So the assets here, the one I
Ah.
have added recently is from Scrond. Definitely recommend.
Mhm.
Scrond is an asset creator. For a long time, I'm using all of her assets. Just picking the right one. And the top layer is one of my assets.
Ah, okay. I recognize the
So,
bottom one from Scrunt because I also have
mhm.
like all of his assets too because there's a lot of good ones. Adam in the comments or in the chat says, I already don't like how fast Birdie can move and draw those lines. I feel like he's over there just dragging the mouse. Click, 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 click.
Yeah, that's little speed comes with the skill in the end that you learn. But yeah, how can I explain it easily? I try to make random noise. So I don't have a plan for the map. I just randomly click, and these areas here that look a little bit off are perfectly fine. It's okay. And if I make any mistakes, something like doesn't look great, like this black area overlapping here, that's fine as well. I cover it up later. So, especially in the beginning, you don't have to focus on the mistakes you make.
I want to point out that you're also, when you're drawing like this terrain with this brush, you're going in circles, and I never think to do that. So I don't know why, but I noticed that you're like kind of going in like circles and really kind of just doing it lightly, which I think is
Exactly.
kind of
Exactly.
important.
I don't know if you can hear my mouse clicking, but
Mm.
it's a lot of clicks. So what I've done now is placing some rubble underneath the cliffs. In my opinion, if you have a huge cliff in the nature, erosion and everything else causes the rocks to fall down, and that's where they collect at the end of the cliff. After I'm making the cliffs, I do the terrain. Some basic terrain. Terrain is something most people, I think, don't focus on. But for me, it takes up like a third of the time I invest in a map. Just every time I repeat the same process, just some random circles, as you pointed out already.
Yes.
So next I choose which terrain I want to have inside this cave. We have some rocky, cliffy kind of, so I pick a more grayish, greenish color. All the assets I'm using are freely available. I try to focus on those. Maybe some of the not free ones slip in, but I think I can focus on that.
Sounds good.
So,
There
comes
is
from
a
my
question. So Matthew W, you know Matthew, is
Matthew.
asking, is there a reason why you prefer the no smooth blending option?
Good question, Matthew. Thanks. Yeah, I occasionally switch to smooth blending, but I prefer the not smooth blending because I can show if you pick like my terrain here, it has an additional alpha channel. So each of the tiles has a different opacity. And that's the advantage of not smooth blending. You can go underneath it, like picking the grass. You can see it goes between these spaces. And I prefer this one.
That
It's
makes
more
sense.
variety. Wrong one. So, and this is a process I repeat all over and over again, doing some terrain, making some more cliffs, more terrain, more cliffs. I think outside is kind of swampy, so let's pick moss.
It's like very relaxing to watch you work too. It's like, wow. You should just do this all the time. Every time you make a map, you should just stream.
Oh, it can be boring. It can be very boring. So especially those massive maps I've made, they can get kind of tedious. There I
Yeah.
rely on my knowledge. I use all of my prefabs, which are a lot, and it's very monotone. I prefer those medium-sized maps, 30 or 50.
Yeah, you made a whole, was it Neverwinter map? Like
Oh yeah.
all of the
Oh,
city? Yeah.
that was awesome. Awesome
Yeah.
project. Took me 6 months or so
Wow.
to complete all of them, while keeping up with my normal schedule, which was difficult enough. uh, I think it wasn't really worth it for the money, but I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. I love the lore, and all of my campaigns are always set in the universe, so I have a personal advantage having these maps done.
I should
So.
add too that you have that available for free if anybody is interested.
You're making more advertising than I should do.
That's my job, right? I'm supposed to make you look good. I'm the co-host. Oh my goodness. It already looks 1,000 times different than what Kirsty submitted.
uh, I should have written down something. I had make my thoughts. What can I say? That's kind of difficult to talk all the time. But I don't wrote down my ideas. Yeah, one thing was that height is an important factor. Even if it's a 2D map, I consider height all the time. So where each cliff goes, and to maximize this effect, I play with the shadows and the lighting. Lighting will be in the end. That's one of the last things I do.
Yeah, I feel like that lighting can change just everything
Oh yeah,
up on a
yeah.
map. So now
That's
you're adding
something I improved recently. Found some new ways to get things done. Over and smaller.
and these are like shadows you're adding.
Yep, those are Krager's Shadows pack,
Uh-huh.
I think. Or no, this was the Gnome Factory. I think one of the few you have to buy, but this pack was free for all. Not sure about it.
No worries.
But any shadows do the same trick. So, yeah, another trick I can show, which is very useful. Like this area, in my opinion, it doesn't look great if I put on just the same terrain here. It's a bit dull, kind of. So I pick a pattern, either the standard tileset cave, this one, or this one, tileset sewer, which looks great. The pivot tool, perfect. And I pick a color that's close to the cliff underneath it and reshape it, which not perfect. Brighter. It looks different in total,
That makes sense.
especially if we do this.
I have never thought about that. Adam made a comment too that these cliffs, he thought that they were intentional before you said that they weren't intentional. So
The shape, yeah.
I never thought about using the tile, like the pattern, uh, like that before. So I've learned something already.
The pattern tool is something you can use every time and all the time for everything. Water effects. Most difficult aspect of Dungeondraft map making, getting water right.
I
And
agree.
the pattern tool is really useful. Do we have a water map? No.
I don't think so.
Something for the next stream.
Yes,
We
exactly.
pick a water map. So where is it? It's so difficult to find some assets sometimes. If you don't know the proper name.
You also have so many.
It's getting difficult.
Yes, Matthew says he'd love to see how you do a water map or how you end up doing water. And he says his favorite part of Dungeondraft is scrolling for that one asset you know exists but you can't find. Yes.
Exactly.
Did
the
you have
same. Hmm?
did you have the idea for where you wanted these cliffs in your head already, or you just like because it
Mm,
looks to me like you've set the terrain up in such a way and then you put this cliff face in here almost like it was
mm,
planned, but maybe not.
it's not really intentional. I kind of go with the terrain that I
Hmm.
set up. So it kind of looks like these cliffs, or here this area was already a little bit in this shape, and then I just added.
Huh.
this.
That's probably just from experience. For me, I feel like
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
have to like really think about it.
I think you're overthinking.
Yeah, but probably you're probably correct in that in that regard.
Okay, so here. Mhm.
Some more patterns. Oh yeah, because it doesn't make sense to have
Okay,
the underneath. My
all right.
second, my
So,
other kitty cat came to visit. That never happens. She is yelling at me though.
ooh.
Oh, I guess she wanted her brother. Okay, bye cats.
So, is Kirsty in the chat, by the way?
I don't think so. I don't see her. She was busy today, so I don't know if she'll be able
Ah,
to
okay.
join or not. But uh, I'm sure
Would be
she'll.
interesting to know what the cave was or is used for.
She said it was some sort of. Oh, maybe that was the other one. The other one was like a crypt. I don't know. I don't remember what she said. I'll have to ask her. But I feel like you're going so fast. I feel like this would have taken me hours to do already.
Basically, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just doing random noise with my mouse. Most of it is experience. So, one thing I have done in the beginning when starting out was to focus on things I can't do. I couldn't do roofs, so I made roofs. I started to make roofs. I couldn't do cliffs, so I made maps that involved a lot of cliffs. Um, and this was very helpful because the sixth or seventh map was looking okay. What I want grass. So
Josh asks, "Do you have any cats?" Because I feel like it wouldn't fit lore wise since you are BirdieMaps.
I have a cat. Yeah. So, another thing I do is the outline of the grass areas,
Yeah.
or especially the terrains, where it comes handy that it's not smooth blending.
Uh, that makes sense.
Mm, so you can create areas. I don't like if the map is too cluttered, too full of stuff, and I have the tendency to fill up my maps with too many stuff, so the eyes get kind of irritated
Mm.
or stressed, maybe like this.
Oh my goodness, I have Ash Kitty in my lap. This doesn't happen. I thought it was Flint, and then I realized she wasn't climbing in my lap, and I was like, wait. You can get up here. Did you just kick your brother out of my lap? Is that what happened? Been usurped. How many different terrains do you have? 8 there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
I wish I could have more, but that's limited to Dungeondraft. So if I somehow get the opportunity to wish for changes, add more, please. That's not enough. Sometimes limited with the city map because I have several different terrains for city streets, like these in all
Oh,
different directions. And if you want to use more, you have less grass, less rocky terrains. It quickly adds up. All right. Something I forgot? I
Matthew
don't think so.
Matthew W also agrees. 8 is nowhere near enough. I fine though. I use only 8, but I'm not a professional, so I'm like, I don't want to spend. I think because for me, map making takes me a long time, and I don't do it often enough. Um, Dungeon Master Josh says he only uses 4, so
It can work. It can work. Sometimes 4 are enough, but for bigger maps, if the map covers several different biomes or areas, like an underwater area and a coast area, and you quickly run out of terrain. So next thing, same as the grass, I add some border of the dirts. Thanks to Scrond for these. Where I can cover up the cliff areas.
oh, that's a small detail, but it is kind of a lot.
Right. I think that's also enough. So the next thing will be the scatter tool. And I have my own system how to approach a map. Like as you see, first the outline, rough outline, cliffs, terrain, and again, until I have a area that I like. And then I usually add the rocks.
This is one thing I think I stole from some of your maps too, because I noticed you had like you would just like scatter rocks everywhere. I think the last time we did one of these, and I was like, oh, and if you just kind of scatter it around, you can always delete. You said you can always delete things, and I was like, that's a good way of putting it. But I always felt like my maps were super sparse before that. So
Yeah. So next thing, which I improved also between our videos, more variety in the color as much as possible, but don't make it too different. The colors like these, I think this one would be too dark. Good. It's okay. It's okay. So maybe a few more. So I just spent a couple of seconds, minutes to pick a set of colors. And I noticed that for big maps, this area is not enough.
oh.
So I have to even scroll in this area by now. There's also another rule that I follow. For assets that are more round, like these rocks here, I try to leave a little bit space between them, which makes a huge difference. And I use the rocks to cover up these areas here.
Ah. Man, you're so good with layers. I always forget about layers, and they're like, why did I not put this on a different layer?
Exactly. That's why I started to have my rules.
How does he? Matthew asks how you're rotating things like that, but I think that you are using the scatter tool, right?
Correct. That's the
Yeah.
scatter tool where you can set the directions. I actually never change the rotations. Very rarely I need to use it. So I add these rocks to the cliffs and a little bit next to them. Like previous, they have fallen off over time. Okay. And a few outside.
It really adds a lot, though. Like it kind of feels like, oh, this is a cave.
Mm?
I don't know if you've been to a cave, but I've been to actual caves because there's like 3 or 4 of them in PA that I visited.
I also been in caves one time. I think it was Croatia.
Oh,
It's crazy. It's crazy to experience it.
it is,
Being
yes.
in a cave.
Especially when they do.
First of all, it's dark.
Yeah, I
You
was
don't
gonna
have
say.
dark vision.
When they turn off the lights, because I think every cave probably does that. Like at one point, they're like, "Okay, everybody stand still," and they turn off all the lights on you, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is dark."
Pure darkness. So another thing, after I place the large rocks, I add the small rocks. That's something that takes up a lot of time, but also worth it if you keep the space in between. Don't like the big ones. Small ones.
Yeah, keeping. I
And you can
never.
also note.
Go ahead. Or go ahead.
Yeah. What? Just say.
I was gonna say I've never thought about keeping them apart like that. I'm always, I think, stacking them too much.
That works if the asset is more complex. Like your eye is expecting something round, and if you come up with a sharp corner, it's kind of looking off, too off. That's from my point of view, at least.
Then it also feels like you don't have to use as many because they're kind of spread out.
Mm-hmm. All right. You can also notice that the color variation adds a lot.
Yeah. The green, like that bright. Well, I guess it's less green.
I mean the color variation between the rocks alone.
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
It's also not so important that this cliff is looking more grayish than this one. The lighting will make a huge difference in the end. Okay, I think I can add some of these. So the smallest rocks are always layer -100 or -400. Everything else is above them.
Makes sense.
Okay. So now we have the small rocks, the big rocks, and I noticed that this area, I don't know why, my brain says that's too much texture. So I pick this and much better. Okay, same as here.
No, that makes sense. I don't know if that's just a design thing, that we notice because you've done this a lot, or like too much is of a good thing can be a bad thing. Probably should have added music to this stream. Next time we do that,
I was wondering. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's enough. Can go over. Next thing would be the plants. Depending on the biome, I pick the bushes first.
And some of these are definitely scrunts. I recognize some of these.
I think, yeah, these are the default ones that were refurbished by Casa Stereo. In the end, you can use the original ones too, these, but they are not colorable.
Yes.
I prefer my stuff being colorable. So, and I do the same thing that I've done with the rocks, adding the correct color for the plants. So that's something you learn over time, where to find your colors. And grayish.
So many. But it makes sense because in nature, not everything is the same exact shade of green or whatever.
Exactly. The more you pick, the better it looks. But it takes time. So, well, maybe not too many in the cave. It's dark in there. So, what I do next with the bushes, I just cover up my mistakes. The same rule as before. Like something that looks off the edge of the path, some bushes here, another area this one, here a little bit, this off as well. Maybe some bushes grow underneath this cliff. It looks a little bit higher. And let's reduce the scale. So another thing, the map doesn't end here. The map actually extends over here. So imagine that the areas further here. The map. So some plants are growing outside the map.
Right. So. Leaking into the map from the edges.
After the plants, the bushes, I place the smaller plants. Most of the time, I exactly pick the same plants all the time.
Well, I mean,
Always these.
and they're smaller too.
Yeah, I try to be. I want to be consistent with the biomes most of the time. So if it's more in a Mediterranean area, I want to pick the Mediterranean plants. And this seems to me very classic Western. So for smaller plants, I try to choose a more vibrant color. Just a few, because I don't place so many of these. Go underneath the bushes. So as you see, I try to place them. How do you say it? Kind of logically, like they don't grow out of the rock; they grow beneath it.
Right. Naturally, I guess, or organically, like they wouldn't.
Organically,
Maybe.
yeah. We don't have enough words. So that's basically for the.
I was gonna say, I will add. I probably up the saturation for YouTube a little bit too, so the colors might be a little bit darker to people than to you and me. But if I
It took
don't,
me a while to notice. It took me a long time to notice why my dungeon maps or cave maps not getting enough or not getting the usual amount of upvotes. Because on my screen they're looking bright, but on your mobile phone they are so dark it's just a black screen.
Yep.
So that's why my social images are always brighter than usual.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, I have to do that with YouTube too. Partially because like my webcam's not the best either, so I have to up the saturation on that most of the time. Otherwise I look real pale.
Here's also an advantage of not using the smooth blending. You can get in these little dots here with some green. Just a few clicks. Oh, a little bit here. So I think that's enough for the outside area. Let's go inside. What can you find in a cave? What do we have here? We need some more rocks. We have crystals. I see some crystals in the image. A lot of beds, storage area. Yeah. So first
She has some sort of camp there too. Let me make it just a little bigger so that people can see it just for a moment while you're working on it. Just everybody's going to be like, what's going on? All right, so she's got like a table up here. There's like a storage area. Plenty of like beds, a campfire, that kind of thing. Is this breaking the third wall for people? Me moving things around in OBS? I don't know. There you go. So, is the original cave the one in the top right? Yes, it is. Yeah, so that's the before picture. I try to keep it there for you guys. I know it's a little small. I think next time I'll ask for grid list too, because the grid gets all distorted, but this is our first time doing it, so.
As for the
lots of
flora inside of the cave, I prefer having some mushrooms. The colors are usually less colorful, kind of grayish, with a slight brown touch. I try to pick only one type of mushroom per map or per area.
Why is that? Because it's just they stand out otherwise?
Otherwise it's too much. Yeah, otherwise it's too much. If you have too much variety, I could also add leaves on the floor. I could add more branches, but at a certain point it's just messy. So for the outside area, I pick some more reddish mushrooms.
Give it a little
Some
color.
are growing. Yeah, exactly.
And under the bushes, because I don't think they would grow above the bushes. I noticed that.
Rarely, yes. Yes. Or often I place them on tree trunks.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Alright. Okay. Next for the cave, I add some ashes, which is more or less dust, in my opinion. Don't use the shadow, always looking a little bit off.
Yeah, I noticed this. You put shadows under. It was like in a house or something, and I was like, that makes sense. And it was like underneath like furniture, like someone hadn't dusted under there. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought of using the ashes that way.
All the time. That's the mushrooms, bushes, ashes, rocks. That's something that's on every map. And cobwebs, all the time. Everything is dusty. No one cleans. That annoys me of making such huge cathedrals or operas, theaters. Too much empty space, and I want to add something but don't know what to add. Okay. Then, of course, the webs, and we can start to fill the map with the important parts.
Yeah, like this is all just for a cave in general.
Yep. It's just the generic cave. Depending on the content of the map, I prefer to start with the eye-catching areas, but most of the time I'm lacking creativity, and then I do the rocks, then I do the webs, and until I have some ideas.
Matthew says Birdie's attention to detail is crazy. It's why I like seeing dust rooms being included in some homes too. So much of a lived-in feel.
Thank you.
I agree though. You're the one that told me to put toilets in houses, like porta potties and stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, right. Everybody has to go sometimes. Oh,
and they often get used by the players.
That is true. And then also the bucket of water by the fireplaces. I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense too.
My advice: just watch documentaries while making maps. I watched a documentary about water wheels while making a watermill.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I wish I had this eager for learning while studying or being in school.
I totally get you.
Okay. So, let me quickly drink something.
Matthew says, I thought it was canon that no one went to the bathroom in D&D. No. You haven't met my players, I feel like.
Maybe you noticed, I think in my time lapses, it's very visible how much I zoom out of the map just to grab a short snapshot of the map, and then I zoom in again. It's kind of personal behavior. So I always get a view of the whole image. Okay, so we need the storage area. I think this would be great for... Let's go this for sleeping area and this for storage area. Let's switch it.
Yeah, because with the cliff, it would kind of make sense. You could have more piled.
Also, I think about where do you want to lift all the stuff? You don't want to be in the narrow area with the cart. You probably want to go here.
That makes sense.
So, normally I rely on my prefabs, but for today I decided to use less of them.
Yeah, you have so many prefabs, and I don't know how you keep them, like keep track of them, because I know you have a naming system, but to me, I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, just look, it's exploding. I don't have a system anymore.
Oh no.
A little bit, but just looking at furniture, it's so much. Just so much. So for all the others, prefabs is something very underestimated. I started out with my earliest maps to save everything as prefab. So every table like this, and they can be reused so many times. Okay, I'm just using them. Let's go for the storage. So many different storage areas because I forget stuff, like the hooks or the logs here, which I normally don't think about, but makes totally sense to have some of these in the cave too. That's not really. This. Go for some shelves, just to demonstrate how it works.
Adam says all the randomness earlier, and then you super carefully place that one bottle next to the crate. I mean, that makes sense though, because the bottle probably fell in a certain way. I thought it made sense.
Exactly. most of my people on the maps are alcoholics because of all the bottles you can find there. My players once started to make a bingo of my maps. If something is, if on the map is a glowing crystal, because I use so many crystals.
And Matthew asked what kind of crate that was. I think the chest. Is it the chest in particular?
This one?
No, the square one. Or the rectangle one, sorry. The second one? No, the one next to it.
This
that one. Yeah.
Also from Casa Stereo, I think it's a refurbished standard asset. This. I think it should be a Merkul cave, so some kind of cultic stuff would make sense here. I use the prefabs basically as a palette of assets, so I don't have to look them up.
Yeah, I noticed. That's very smart, and I never thought of doing that. So
I can show some of the collections because sometimes I sit down and just make new prefabs.
That is one thing I started doing more of. I don't have as many prefabs as you, but I definitely started making some because I was like, I use these things a lot. I make a lot of like tables with just junk on them, and I don't want them to all look exactly the same.
What I do for making prefabs, I once sit down, take my time, and place all assets I have into categories. So that should be collections. So these are all bottles, potions. If I want to have something more specific, but this takes up a lot of space, so I can only use these for making new prefabs in a special map. So nothing we can use here.
So it's more like a collection, so you don't have to go through and find it. And then also I found, because sometimes the tags aren't perfect. So you so you're looking for it and you're like, I don't know what it's under.
Another thing I can think of in this cave, the people with fortified insecure areas, they don't want to fall down. They want to have a fence, at least on the most dangerous parts. They want to traverse here. Maybe a staircase. Stairs. Yeah. Ladder also works. Yeah. Something else that looks great. Mandrel was good. Over time, you learn certain assets, names. Yeah, this one. Some kind of hooks in the wall. I also have hook assets, but I know that these are only commercially available. Using them. But works like this as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. If
Wait for it.
If you're using it as a base.
Yeah, and now we add some ropes. These are from Scrond. The ropes asset pack. Wonderful. Having some different colored ropes.
like it's holding
Yes,
the
exactly.
rocks back. Ooh. I never would have thought of that.
I think I started doing this when I made some mines.
Yeah, I did
All
notice
right.
in one of your mines you had a lot of like you said, like wood to like secure the sides and stuff, and like beams across the top in hallways and stuff. And I was like, I would never have thought of doing that.
I think I took inspiration by searching for image online, just trying to recreate this. Black area, so I fixed it manually. Now that I think of it, I can do it in this moment. When we want to export this map into Foundry VTT, there's something you need to think about. These are not cave walls. These are just paths, so they don't block any light, and you don't have that just go through. And to fix it, I just add a line. Color doesn't matter. I prefer black, so it matches the background, but they block light.
I didn't realize you can make a tool like a path tool block light. Oh,
Now you know.
now I know. That would have saved so much. I recently made a map, and I think I used paths for the walls instead of walls, just because of the way the building was. And I was like, oh, I imported it into Foundry, and I was like, I gotta put the walls in manually.
Back to the old times.
Yep, yep.
So happy about it. Saves a lot of time.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Now that I know, that changes everything. I have learned so many things already.
Okay. Let's see if I didn't miss a point. Looks good. So I just check with the light bulb. It's all right. We have the storage area. Now we need to add the sleeping area. So I chose the small area as well because you can show some cool little things. I'm not sure for you Americans, but we have some very, very old pubs, like several 100-year-old pubs. And they look amazing. It's very small, it's tidy, but you have a nook in every corner. You go inside, you go left, you go right, and everywhere is a little nook. Sometimes you go several stairs up on a in-between story into a little cabinet. So many taverns have it like here. And that's something I try to replicate and finally can do as well. Doesn't work in a cave, but the overall technique works in houses mostly. So let's pick this here. Choose some ladder. We fortify the area here, so some people can sleep in this area.
That makes sense.
Six sleeping bags. Some color. Well, what also works, not only planks, you can also pick tables.
Yes, I do that a lot.
One up is too much. Go here for another one. I prefer this one.
Yes, that one looks like it belongs in a cave.
That's okay. That works. some more beds. We need like 2,
2, 4, 6, 8.
8, 13. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's like every little area has a bed.
Exactly. It's warm. They need the warmth.
Yeah, we don't in America. I don't think a lot of like we have more room to spread out. I guess you know America's pretty big, so I don't think it's quite the same.
Exactly. I don't think we need 13 beds. They can sleep in shifts.
Matthew says you guys have so much space. Yes, we do. The US has a lot of space. I think that's why what the American dream is like 2 kids, a nice house, and a yard and a picket fence. So my cat is now trying to get. How are you back there? Get out from behind the monitor. How did you even get back there? Causing havoc as usual. Hopefully he doesn't unplug something. That would be the worst. Okay, he didn't.
Power shortage.
Yeah,
Because of the cat.
Yeah.
Not the storm.
Yeah, the storm stopped, so we're lucky. It's not even. I can't hear any thunder or anything. I see you, pup. Come on up. Come on, buddy. Come on. I like how you use the planks to like I don't know, it looks like it was built like this. You know what I mean? Like someone took actual planks and built this whole little ledge up here.
I think that works because I started out with a cave. Then I think about it, where people I avoid changing the rocks afterwards. It rarely happens. So I just think how people would actually live here or build there. So we also need some stairs here. And also desk, kind of desk. Okay.
Yes. Adam says, I'm American and I don't want any kids. Sounds like a nightmare. I like my fenced in yard though. Well, it's not just you, Adam. It's just like the quote unquote American dream stereotype. And then Dungeon Master Josh also has a kid, and he's like, kids are the worst. Just kidding. But is he? Who knows? Ouch. Flaky claws.
Something else I can now think of is where do these people eat? I mean, toilet not necessary. They have their forest area, but some place to eat. So we need campfire.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
So some cooking pots. Already 3. I need to remind myself that these are on level 3. So next to cooking, we need some dishes, like a spoon. A few more. I can add some moldy food.
Moldy. I guess, yes. I mean, I live with a toddler, so we find random Cheerios in some places. So
Exactly.
I'm sure there's something we don't know about somewhere. Oh, and adding the little like soil spot makes sense too. I didn't think of that.
Here we got the area for the men, women. Right. Next we need some lighting. So I think classic lanterns do the thing, which we can perfect add on the ropes. One's underneath here to create the illusion of height. Some lanterns underneath it.
That makes sense. Did not think of that either.
Oh, no, it's raining here.
I cursed you.
Okay. So this would be the crystal cave. We need the desk. Desk is missing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think here somewhere. Oh, let's look in my assets. We have this one is perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Simple, maybe a bit smaller. What I also thought we could do for the next streams, asking for common problems people encounter
Mm.
when map making, something that's especially difficult, like for me, water effects or cliffs. I can go over it in detail.
I
This
like
goes
that.
here.
Let me write that down. Oh.
Another thought I always have when making maps is where can you go to each area? Is it possible to walk each area?
Mm.
Just go here. So maybe some ladder or stair. This field would be right. Also some chairs.
Matthew says icy lakes.
Icy lakes. Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I think normal water is difficult. So like an ocean area, that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. Ships on water. Because then I feel like the water
So
is,
water, yeah,
is like,
it's always off.
yep.
And chairs. Then I think this area. All right.
That's crazy.
One thing is missing. They probably have cut some wood in advance, which is
Oh,
located
yeah.
somewhere in the cave.
For,
They could run out of wood.
that makes sense. Because they have a campfire, so they would need something to burn. A lot of these things, like, just make sense, but aren't things that I think about when I'm map making.
Ask your players. What would your players do?
I guess that's true. They would investigate everything. And yes, I like this technique that you always do with the rope and the lantern on it. Because I was like, well, how else is there going to be light in this area? You know?
It looks cute. Kind of looks cute.
Oh, Kiersey's here now. Kiersey, this is your map.
Awesome.
Matthew asks if you use any mods for this.
No. I think I have one mod on my laptop, my notebook, but not on the computer right now, which was that I can change the color of paths, but that's all. I think a lot of people use the drop shadow mod, but I don't really like it, to be honest. Can't really tell why, but not my thing.
I don't use any mods. I pretty much use I'm pretty plain in terms of Dungeondraft because I like to use the standard assets, like all the basic ones. I think I have some from you. I have some from, of course, Scronts, who mimics the same style of Dungeondraft.
Mhm.
And like I just stick to that. And I also, when I go looking for maps, I always look for ones that use the standard Dungeondraft assets. So that way, if I have to make any adjustments, I can do that, you know?
Yeah.
Casey says to answer a much earlier question, it was a Merkel cultist cave where the PCs were looking to retrieve the bag of holding the cultists stole.
Okay. So then let's add back Or folding, I think.
Yes, and Josh didn't know that
This
there
one.
were mods for Dungeondraft. And Adam says check Mega
There are not a
Suites.
lot. It's not a lot. Few that are great, and most others are a little time saver, but not really worth it, in my opinion. I want to start with Dungeondraft modding, but I need to learn the programming language
Oh
first.
gosh. Yeah, I don't. I've been trying to, make modules for Foundry, so I've had to learn some code, and I have not had much fun. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. I think something is missing here. Need to add more. I got an idea. Let's add a water area.
There you go. Yeah, it does look empty otherwise.
Let's go for more advanced.
And like as soon as you had added the water because you already had terrain, it gave it like the look and feel of the map already, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this is crazy different. We're gonna have to do like a side by side. Make this other little one a little bigger.
And again, some more shadows.
I think shadows are the.
So now we're experiencing one of my most common mistakes. I forgot to turn off block light.
Oh, for the cliff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which means that some
Oh,
areas
that.
still have this one.
At least it's easy to go back and just toggle it.
Yeah, depends on when you notice it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you notice it very late, yeah, then it's a lot of work. Okay, that looks fine. So, that's the basics. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if anybody has a question so far, before we go to the next area, go ahead.
Wow.
Or ideas. I'm also open to add more ideas.
Yeah. Let me make this other one a little bigger too. So people, oops, it's moving everywhere. Okay, here you go. So people can see the
Next
difference.
would be shadows and lighting. We're gonna do on this map.
Sure. Kirsty says this looks super cool. Looking forward to going back to the beginning and hear all the improvements. Adam asks, does that block light piece export with it for VTT use? Like it acts as a wall. Yes.
Exactly. That's why I add them. So, as for the lighting and shadows, I usually start with the shadow, but only if the whole map is finished, because editing at this point is a pain. I go on layer 4 with the pattern tool, shadow 25, and also in the Krager shadow pack, and pick something around 120. Opacity. That was maybe I'm too quick. Just stop me if I'm too fast.
No?
That's the opacity, so it looks less dark. And what I do next, I usually point my sun in the top left corner. Don't annoy me, Kevin. So in the top left corner, so my shadow falls in the bottom right.
Oh, okay.
And it's good to have a visual understanding of the 3D area. But you don't have to be exact with the shadows. For cliffs, it's very easy. Just make some noise, sharp edges here. I try to copy the outline of this, which always looks off, but it's okay. Now I imagine that over this area there's some more rock. So the shadows don't go too much inside.
Right.
And I want to cover the whole cave. Go around this area to get my starting point. If you double click, it automatically finishes the pattern, and so I don't have to see it.
Huh.
Okay, it's a little bit too bright, maybe 80. Yeah, that's better. Now we have inside and outside just by lighting. And depending on how much time I have, I can add more shadows to everything technically.
Right.
And here I see an arrow.
And I think
More difficult for houses, but even there you don't have to be exact. Point.
I was gonna say I think this kind of lends itself back to like learning art and like where light and shadow, like basic art drawing techniques.
Yeah, I tried to learn a little bit about art aspects, but never got warm with it, so it's all by feel and a little bit YouTube.
Yes.
So that's a basic shadow. I don't think we need much more. That's fine. One more.
Someone asked, can you add a grid if you wanted to make sure your ratios are correct? Yes, you can add a grid. I personally don't always do that. Yeah, so he has toggled it for you. But I think it kind of just depends on what you need the map for.
So many people have difficulties with the scaling. Thanks for noticing it. What I try to imagine is my personal height, my personal size. And best reference I have is a chair, a bed, or table. And I also know that 1 square is 5 feet. So roughly a little bit more than 1 square is enough for a bed at minimum size, but don't go bigger than 2 squares. Then it looks way off. Same for chairs. And at this from this starting point, I place the object in a correct size, but certain things are very small. Like this spoon is way larger than a regular spoon, but if I was to make it realistic, it's just a tiny stick, black dot on the map, kind of. So it's a combination of visibility and realism. I try to keep the distance kind of realistic. So, lighting. Yes. Okay. Once this is done, I save. Very important to save in between, which I use by the hotkeys Control S.
Yes.
So could add trees. No trees today.
I used to have I used to have a sticky note on my screen that said "Remember to save," because there were so many times when I was in a real job, marketing, and I would be halfway through a project and then forget to save and it would crash. Adobe, that's why it's Adobe products, but.
No, I was a bit off. Okay, one thing we forgot was the light bulbs for the lanterns.
Right.
So, go not with brightest light, just a little bit. This lighting now is for Foundry, which is important. So these are the light bulbs that are shown in Foundry in the end. And one more. Here was one. It's here. Usually there should be a candle somewhere, but isn't. This one. Okay. All right. And some blue light here.
Right, for the crystals.
Of course. Crystals have to glow. Okay. So these are the Foundry lights. Now we go to the next step, which is add a new level. I add one level for the daylighting and clone the basic, the ground level. And another level for night for the variants. And this is the most annoying part when getting revisions of maps, because now I have to redo all the lighting again.
Right.
So, okay, we're now on day. First I do is changing the ambient light to my basic standard values, which is 55, 50, 45. For exterior maps, daylighting, and for the night, it's inversed. So 45, 40, 50, 55. So back to the day. All right. This pack is the effects, I think. This one.
Okay.
AOE, FX, Fire, and Electricity.
Okay.
That's a free to use pack for everybody. It adds these fire effects, these ones, also
Ah.
colorable, which look great. In my opinion, difficult to use in Dungeondraft. They are more on the realistic spectrum, but you can make use of them. It's just more difficult. But they also add the light as the light source. And problem is they are still a bit too bright in my opinion. So if I want to add this blue light, it's a bit too much. This is where I add the lower alpha channel opacity for the lights as well, making them a bit less. So picking one color for the outside day, kind of like here. And same as with the other assets, the more variety in color, the better. Just prepare a few. What do I next? Maybe some Merkul is purple. Merkul is purple.
Yes.
Necromancy is always purple.
I do a lot of. I'm running a Drakkenheim game, so a lot of my lighting is just purple fog.
Now on the outside, I place some of the fire effects. You can rotate the light bulb by holding Alt and rotating your mouse wheel. For anybody who didn't know, just a few smaller. So then some blue lights here. I think we missed something that indicates for Merkul. We need some skulls.
Oh yes.
But changing those, no, it's a bit annoying changing everything, so
Yeah.
we skip them.
No worries.
That we can create a kind of cool effect with the purple. I hope. All right. Next, I add the other light bulbs, some classic soft ones. Also use these, but they have the centered spot, which makes it more difficult to line them properly. And go variety, some more orange hues.
And I know that they can't hear your clicking, but I'm sure you're clicking a lot.
Yeah, it's clicking, it's clicking. So I can turn on the widgets.
Yes,
like
that's what I was
this.
gonna say. Just show the widgets, because
So you
I
can
know.
barely see them, so you need to place a lot of them. But this gives you more control over it. And since it's day outside, we need to place a lot here. Could also increase a little bit here. Or whitish. And of course, a little bit light reflects into the cave. Then that's something I've learned from the tutorials. The opposite light, so at the end of something, you can place like lights flowing into here. So
Right, is this hitting against the wall? Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. I never thought of that.
Same for the blue one here.
Yeah, because I have used your Foundry modules, and then I've gone to the um, the light bulb just to see. And there's always so many, and I'm like, whoa! No wonder it looks
Yeah, but
so like there's so much depth to it, you know?
okay, some more orange light into the cave. So that's basically it. So we can do the same for the night, just less light bulbs, and always pick a blue hue.
Yeah, it kind of looks like clouds or something.
Exactly, or in forest, you can create
Yeah.
a very great effect. The tree shadows, tree lights.
Yes.
Oh, that's too much. And yeah, I think that would be done. One map finished. Saving. And when exporting, that's also something I can show. I pick the 140 ppi. For the VTT module, we can choose the ground level, which doesn't have all the light bulbs, everything set up properly. And called Bandit Cave. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Did it finish? Not sure. Sometimes there's a bug where you have to be careful. Yeah, exactly. Always save before exporting. When this happens, so when I start to save again, it's making nothing. When I want to, yeah, so just close Dungeondraft, restart it. This happens, I figured it out, it happens when you add a new layer to the map and saving in between. So when one save file has changed the number of layers, somehow in this direction. That's what I could figure out. So. And even though it has exported a map image, that image is broken.
Yes, I've had that happen before too, where it definitely didn't do it right.
Okay. And that's basically it. First done. For VTT.
It's definitely much different than what we got.
So, KYLIE, can you summarize what you have learned for the first map?
Oh no, you put me on the spot. Well, I've learned a lot actually. I learned that paths can block light, which I didn't know was a thing. I've learned to pay attention to shadows in general, kind of pick a light source, and then you kind of just made a whole path that covered everything. You use paths to color certain cliffs, and you use specific, like the cave one, or whatever fits the theme, I guess. You edge all of your terrain too, which I didn't do, like the grass and the sand. Adam's like, so there is a quiz at the end, apparently, only for me.
Just to get some time.
Yes. What else did I learn? Oh, and like a lot of it is just like logical placement, right? Like mushrooms don't grow above; they kind of grow underneath things. Places to eat and sit, and where they would store things. Like you said, moving the cart in to the cave if they had to would be better on the right side than the left, which made a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I don't know. I've learned a lot.
Awesome. A plus.
Let's see.
All right. Let's see. How much time do we have left?
About 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Okay. The question is, which one do we pick next?
That is up to you.
I have prepared this one from Kirsty as well to save some time, but I don't think we can get the other one as well.
That's okay.
We can ask the community if they want to see the cave or the crypt, which would be this one, or this one.
That's
from Josh.
Maybe
Yeah.
we do the
I
one.
think we have time for one.
We should do the one from Josh, just since Kirsty's been in the spotlight this time around already. So,
Right.
And I know Josh was in the audience. I don't know if he's still around, but then he can always come back and look at it. So this is a keep. Let me pick the right map on the menu thing too. And he was nice enough to provide the DD file for us.
Yeah, exactly. And I already loaded it up, saved it with all my assets activated, and loaded it again. What I really like about this one is the layout. It's a very interesting layout, in my opinion, and I try to get something like this, and it's not working all the time. First thing I would add here is more height and more variance in the outside area. So similar to what we've done with the bandit cave, we go here as well, doing some cliffs and terrain.
That makes sense. Oh, sorry, Adam. We picked this one. I want to give Josh a little bit of spotlight time too. I just want to make fun of his map, maybe. I don't know. No, actually, it's not that bad of a map. This is probably something I would kind of create, you know, where it's got stuff and it looks okay, but you know, I don't know that I do that well with this. And Kirsty said the map you made was gorgeous, so thank you.
Thank you. Let's go over. I think we can grab the terrain. Just redo it. I just picked the same textures as every time. Gravel with no outline or low outline. And some default grass or other default grass.
Josh says he ignores the outside if I expect him to be inside mostly, which, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I see, but you know your players.
Yes. Yeah, my players.
The point. They always want to get around the building.
That's what they do every time. They circle the building first to see if there's any other way aside from the front door. At least in my case. Yeah, Adam said actually this is a good choice because he was looking for more of a building type map after that cave one. So it works. And Josh says he's not saying that's the right thing to do, but he's lazy.
That's totally fine. I mean, you can play without maps. I mean, that's maybe shocking some people, but I'm not always using maps.
I call it the uh-oh scene. It's the scene in Foundry I have that is literally just a grid with like a grass terrain on it. And I use that anytime I did not make a map or the players do something unexpected. That's my uh-oh map.
Smart.
Yes, correct, Adam. Adam's like, nice door. Are there any windows? Quote the players. Every player ever. Yeah. And already the map looks way different. And you've just added like one cliff and a little bit of terrain. You've taken 5 minutes and already the map looks drastically different.
You think? I don't think. It's just a different terrain.
I think that adds a lot though to it, you know?
Same as the last map.
Yep. Putting a little pulling the colors from the terrain itself. Giving it more of an edge.
Exactly.
Adam says, Josh, she keeps saying different, but I think she wants to say better. Yes, it is better. It is better than yours, Josh. No, I'm just kidding. When you are using these tools on the outside of the keep, will it bleed into the interior? Like the rocks, I'm guessing? The terrain?
No, not really. The interior is a pattern.
I think Ted's default, like the terrain is always on the lowest level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I think terrain
for the outside
is I think terrain is always on the bottom. So when you put like a building, it's always going to be above the terrain. I think it's even lower than water too. So if you put water down, you can have the terrain in the water.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct, but there are certain ways to counter that. For example, I have simply added the terrain, some of the basic terrains, as patterns. Like the default grass. So I can add it on a different level if I need to. One thing to mention for the exterior area, it has to be walkable. So this stair needs to lead somewhere, and I assume that most people who walk outside forgot something and need to return through the main entrance. So some desired path is forming here. Make it a little bit more vivid.
Well, the way I see it is like if they're walking on that path, the stuff in the middle is going to be more like worn down and.
It works in both ways, actually. So that doesn't really matter. It's kind of words. Sometimes it's difficult while making maps. It also works the other way around, but I prefer to have kind of a bulge in it, which, as you described, looks like it's worn down, but can also make it like the outside area swept over.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
For sand, for example, for beaches.
Looking at you messing with all this, I'm also realizing I never put steps up to the front. He's like, maybe it was on a hill. Yeah, we'll go with that. It was on a hill. That's why all the other doors have steps. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. One thing to consider, I think this map shows it as well, is the imagination of the height. So you go downstairs here. The lower area is always darker. So technically this entrance must be higher than this lower area. There's something off here. We can fix it by adding a cliff to the side. Maybe a smaller one. This. And in this area, we can add some stairs, either the path or the assets.
Adam says, yeah, the natural looking paths can be tricky. Did you wear it down and expose the stone below, or did the stones get pressed down below the dirt and mud over time? Yeah, so it could be either or.
Yeah.
Someone, Mayo, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but they ask if how well this application works with a stylus, and I've never used it with a stylus. I've only ever used a mouse.
Oh, yeah, me too. I always use mouse, even drawing assets with mouse.
Yeah, so I'm unsure about that.
I think technically it works if the pen is replacing the mouse options.
Yeah.
So I have a mouse pad and I tried it once, but was so much used to using the mouse, never stick to the pen.
Yeah, I only use the pen on my iPad. So, and I don't have this on my iPad. I don't think it would work well on an iPad. Or I'll use a stylus. What did I say? Did I say mouse? I don't know. Josh says, boom. And just like that, my hill excuse is now canon. Yes.
Okay. As you see, this makes more sense that we
Yep.
go down here and up again here. And for the smith area, we also need an entrance that is used. This.
Wow. Yeah. I also like that. I always, I don't know if this is true, but I always feel like in certain areas that don't get a lot of sun, right, on a building, there wouldn't be a lot of greenery there. So not a lot of grass and stuff. So I always try to put dirt on one side, but I think I overthink it and then I put too much. So
That's okay. That's okay. That's something the players can explore as well. So if you have your own rules on the maps, you can integrate them into your playstyle. Happens a lot. I use a lot of crafting in my campaigns, and I love that my players at least have the options to craft. And for most of my plants and assets I use on the maps, I have kind of ingredients, what they can make, what they can be used for. So they can know exactly which flower they are allowed to pick and what it does. Wanted grass.
that's pretty smart. So if you always use the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's very smart. Yes, and then our grass over the edge of the cliffs, which makes so much sense, but I never thought about it.
Also works for the roads too.
I actually wondered. I looked at one of your maps and I was like, how did he get this? And now I'm like, oh, it's a path. Like it makes so much sense now. But I was like, how did he do this? Because I was thinking you maybe use what is the other brush? The material brush. But I was like, that
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
seem to be
the
quite
most
right.
unnecessary tool. I think there are just a few occasions where I use it.
Because it doesn't really work very well with the terrains, and you have more options with the terrains than the materials, I think. So
I'm not sure, but I assume it was intended differently and never really worked.
yes, Adam says, no kidding, why does it look 100 times better just adding grass to the edges like that? Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Like it does just add a small detail that really kind of makes it look more professional.
Yeah, it's something that takes up a lot of time.
That is
Most
true.
people don't do it if they are new to Dungeondraft, because the rest is not fitting. Okay, fix some terrain mistakes here as well.
Yeah, just hiding the edges.
Okay, then we can start thinking about the inside. But first, what do we add next? Heidi, that's a quiz.
Uh-oh, there's a quiz. Rocks? I think it's rocks.
Yes, exactly. So let's pick a different type of rocks. Last time we used the soft ones, now we use the sharp ones. Okay, these are mine that I have drawn. They always come in a colorable variant and a pre-colored variant that already has some color variety in it. And with my standard values, best use of it.
They look good. They match the style well. Adam says, starting to get the same feeling I have when I watch Kibitz. I don't know who that is. Play Satisfactory. Like, why do I bother? I'm on level 2 and he's on level 5 to 50th power. I'll just Google a map. I honestly, though, I don't think it only took you about an hour to improve the map. Maybe.
Some simple things, yes.
Yeah. I think it's just the more you do it, the faster you get. Like I would even say like after a while, like I'm nowhere near as like good at map making as you are, but I do still feel like I can make a map pretty quickly now versus when I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you
After
just
a lot of time, you know what to place. Like
yes,
these simple rules, placing the rocks in this order, it is mental offloading. I think that's what it's called.
yeah, to just have like a standard. This is the way I do it every time.
Mm.
Adam said it took him an hour to improve it and 1,000 hours to learn what would improve it. I mean, maybe, but it's just practice. You just get better. It's like anything, Adam. I'm sure you could get better at Satisfactory too.
Right. So then we have this. What's next?
uh, pebbles, little bushes. I don't know.
Okay. Little bushes.
Little bushes.
Bushes, pebbles, both. Ah.
Plants. And adding all the colors of your bushes.
I'm not always making this. If the map is small enough and don't need so many different colors.
That makes sense. You just use layers so much more effectively than I do.
Oh, that's something I wish would be a feature, having a shortcut to change the layer.
Mm.
If I would just press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh,
Yeah, that would definitely help. Josh says, I'm not seeing a difference between his and mine. Looks pretty much the same. And then Adam asks, is your monitor turned off? That was pretty funny.
well, he's kind of right. The interior looks the same.
Yes, yeah, interior
We'll
is the
get to it
same.
soon enough.
But Josh is also just always sarcastic. So, you know. Yeah.
All right. Think we can focus on the interior now. So, I really love this layout. It has some interesting ways to go. Not all areas are connected, and the players need to explore, and it's unpredictable. That's something I love about these types of layouts. We have this. Ah, there's also something off. Stairs here and here. Doesn't really match up.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Because it's a staircase
Yeah.
down.
So we need to add a cliff here. That's why when I walk mentally through the building.
Josh says, I really love the layout in quotes. And he says, before he tears it apart. He's not tearing
I
it
didn't
apart.
change the layout.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed that Josh was using the building tool, which I don't recommend. Go with the wall tool and use the patterns. Because you can change the pattern afterwards with the building tool, or it's at least difficult. It's not so much of a problem. We can work with that by just adding a new layer above. So that's the most monotone work of all. Adding the patterns. And this is when I watch my YouTube tutorials, YouTube videos, or anything else. Just
Yeah, I don't use the like the building tool either. Partially because I feel like every time I have to make a change with like the walls or something, it just, I don't know, makes it harder to me.
exactly. I need to try playing Apex or different shooter game again, because I think I have a good point click uh,
So,
accuracy.
so you'd be very, very good at first-person shooters.
Need to try.
Yes, but
Maybe I'm also too old.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, maybe if you were like 13 again, I feel like those are the people who always win. Those are like the ones who spend all summer just doing that.
Okay, I think that's all of it. Okay. Now it depends on my mood and creativity which area I pick first. If I start doing the interior or the floor patterns, I think we can start with the floor patterns. So after setting up the basic floor pattern on everything, I pick a different pattern for every room. And there's a basic rule. I can choose the same pattern, but the rooms are not allowed to be connected that have the same pattern.
Gotcha.
Don't know why this rule came up, but it kind of works. And it's very difficult finding good pattern assets. So Scront, thank you for delivering so many good ones. For the color, I prefer the basic 127, 126, 113. You need to know that. Just a random color, which is kind of grayish, but with a little green-yellow tone with it. So that's the standard color for the most walls and patterns. So like this one has it. This one has a similar one. I don't like the perfect gray one.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. Yeah.
It's kind of off.
Question. So
Yeah.
Josh says he had a really hard time doing the circle room and that door. And then Matthew followed up with, if you've had to make a circular room, how do you do it?
I avoid doing a circular room or making the circular room very big. The smaller it is, the more difficult it gets. But there's also a different solution for it. Just pick some proper patterns. Always use the puppet tool. Very useful. Saves a lot of clicks.
Adam says, I went to see Birdie play one of those games where you have to move the mouse pointer through a maze as fast as possible. Watching you fill the circle was absurd.
Ooh, would be interesting. Very interesting. Different one.
Is there a way to change the layers on a detail after it is placed? I don't think so. Is there?
You can change it afterwards, yeah.
Oh, in this thing, in the select tool, right? If you click it and then you can change layer there. Is that where it is?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is.
For circular rooms and doors, what I can show, I have not enough space. So here. So let's make a half circle. What I do is placing the full circle and removing the points one by one, so to have a symmetry until it's large enough to fit a door. This error also happens, this bug, which is very annoying. It messes up your whole structure.
Yeah.
But you can fix it by adding another point, Control Z, and then it should be fixed.
Huh. There you go. You guys learned something new for sure.
And another trick, or another thing you can do, you can make the doors freestanding as well.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you want to be more precise. Getting another door here.
He says, wait, how do you do the round bit again? Do it again, he says. You'll have to just go back. You can go back and look at it. Rewind the video. You have controls. Josh said, I just had to have a wizard tower, and for some reason I felt it had to be round.
It works, but it's really a pain. You have to go very large so the furniture fits into the next to the walls.
Mm-hmm. He said the idea with this map was that it was a kind of forward observation base by a military group.
Ah, this one here, Josh. Ah. Mm-hmm.
Adam says, I was watching, I still don't know how you did the circle.
Holding shift while placing a wall.
Yeah, that's how you
Click
carve
once, and when I hold shift, you see it turns purple, and then you can drag it into your angle, kind of.
it. Mm-hmm. I find it's very useful for me. I always count out like how big I want it, and then split that in half, and then you just do half and half, or like a quarter and a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Either way. Josh was impressed that that is how you fix the door situation.
Sometimes I'm annoyed when they remove bugs that were features for me. The next thing I do for patterns for the floors is adding more variety. So here it's kind of okay. I would accept that, but adding, you can turn the outline off, but I prefer having it on. But doesn't really matter. I think Matthew is not using the outline, but both works fine.
Oh yeah, because it just adds a little more depth, and it kind of looks like it's how do you call it, like trim or something on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Adam says, oh neat, I didn't know about that shortcut. Glad I clicked live. I went back as instructed and saw nothing to clue me into the shift key for dragging it around. And I think all of the shortcuts too are listed at the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
So if there's a shortcut for a tool that you're using, it should be at the bottom. Matthew says, reading? Nah, yeah, I know. Especially when you get so used to like just doing things, you don't think about those tutorials
Exactly.
and things. Yeah. Reading is for chumps, says Adam. You know, I'm reading your chat right now. I could ignore you guys if I wasn't reading. That's why I watch tutorials. Yeah. My husband's the same way. Whenever we play a new game, he does not read the tutorial. He didn't like Monster Hunter. I don't know if anybody in the chat plays Monster Hunter, but he didn't like Monster Hunter because the whole tutorial was like big boxes of text and he just skipped through it. So then he never learned how to actually play the game.
Right, here's another trick I do, or not really trick, personal preference. Areas like this will be covered up with black. So something where players can't go, can't see. I think there was...
Can relate to Mr. KYLIE. I'm gonna tell him that you called him Mr. KYLIE. I'm sure he won't like that one.
Yeah. So I pick different type of stairs. Don't like them being too much enlarged. The problem with stairs is I have so few I like. Even my own ones. I don't like my own ones.
I find that too, though, and that or it seems like they're like too small or too big, or you need it to be wider, and there's just you can't really just make it wider all the time because sometimes the lines get weird. So
Correct, like this one.
mm-hmm.
Oh, fine. Don't like it.
Yeah,
My
and then
personal
there.
rule is that I don't expand over 1.5 with everything. same in the other direction.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that in the last tutorial too, and I started doing that as well. How is Birdie locking his cursor in the center of the squares ahead of the usual on the corners?
That's I don't. It's not in the center of the squares.
Oh, like
Or,
in the center of the oh, like on the halfway marks of the squares? Please elaborate, maybe.
you can change that in the user syntax.
Yes.
Where was it?
Shortcuts?
I'm never here. That snap at every half grid unit.
Yes.
Very important. To turn it
Yeah.
on.
I have that on too, I think. I never realized that. I probably changed it the one time and never looked back.
So I want to add a little bit more to the shape of the building to make it a little bit more bulky. Okay, maybe here a little. No, not notice I've picked the wrong wall type. And let's change all others quicker.
Matthew says he would just freehand it instead of using that snap to half points.
Yeah, it works also. But for walls, certain types of walls or patterns, it's easier.
For sure.
Yeah.
Josh says, sorry I made my walls and building in the most inconvenient way.
I hate when this happens.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, am I happy? No, I'm happy.
Yeah, they all match. I would be the same way. A little OCD about that.
Oh, that's very important. Keeping OCD as low as possible.
That's the problem.
Sometimes it doesn't have to match up. It doesn't have to be symmetrical. That's the most difficult part.
I think there was one time we made like a water mill or something together. It was like on a river, and you said something like the way a house would be built. Sometimes they add additions on over time, so that might look different. And because you said that, I was like, well, sometimes the walls won't be exactly the same, right?
If you see how construction workers work, I'm wondering how everything is rectangular. Okay, after placing the terrains, and usually it's when I still don't have a proper idea which room to fill with, how to fill which room, I add the shadows. Same as usual on layer 4.
I think already though, adding all of the different just the patterns on the floor gives you so much more to look at here. Like it's just a little attention to detail type thing that added so much. You didn't change anything else that Josh added to the map yet, you know, none of the items or anything. So
that's what I mean. If you keep these little tricks in mind, it makes a huge difference.
And shadows always make a huge difference. I'm always surprised by how much just adding a shadow around the walls makes a big difference. Josh says, I also add just enough items to the room so people can tell what it is. I always struggle on finding more things to add to bring it to life. I think that's pretty common though.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to get creative with the assets too, you know.
Sometimes you have to build new ones out of the existing ones. Yeah. Okay. That's basically just adding the rules we have set up before the last map, and I also think it makes a huge difference.
Yep, really does.
One more thing before going to the in furniture,
Sure.
which I love to do, is adding pillars on top of. Usually, I place brown pillars because they are wooden supported. Fachwerk, that's the German word for it. I think it's also invented in Germany.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, and that detail too adds so much. It's it's crazy like what these little things do. Half timber, someone said. What did you say? How did you pronounce the the word?
Right, half-timbered. Half-timbered, that's the correct pronunciation. Fachwerk, that's the
I'm
German word.
There's no way in heck I'm going to be able to to say that correctly. I did take German when I was in high school for like 1 year, but that was so long ago, and we're not going to talk about how long ago.
And you never learned the word Fachwerk.
No, I did not.
Horrible.
Well, I don't.
That's such a common word.
Oh, is it? No, I don't think so.
Right. So. Um, right. Then I would go over for the furniture. Basically, in my opinion, this map as it is right now is basically finished. You can perfectly play on it when adding lights and shadows in the end again. For the interior, what I would change is make it a little bit less messy. So, I mean, you said it would be an outpost,
Yes.
Josh, right?
Yes, that's what he said.
And I don't assume it's an orcish outpost. So there's some person very angry if you don't clean up the storage area. Maybe it was rushed and just quickly filled up, but I think they had time. So by placing everything in the correct area.
That's another thing that you just did, where you move things closer to the wall, like they're almost in the wall. But to me, that like makes it look like it's up against the wall versus how it was before. Just wanted to point that out.
Nice notice. Ah, wrong one. I don't like having carpets with shadows. Okay. I think this is a storage area. Let's start over here. We need some light sources. So, lanterns. So I always keep in mind that I will place the ropes in the end. That's why I'm hanging the just in a random location. Maybe here, this is kind of a training area, so or it's a weaponry. But I think it's more like a weaponry.
Yeah, like an armory or
Armory. Yeah,
yes.
weaponry, armory.
Yes. Weaponry, armory. There's the same. Adam says, yeah, just putting them into the wall is a weird point of view trick. It gives the walls height even when you are looking straight down on them. Yes. Yes, it does.
Great. Nice.
He put that together better than we did, for sure.
I need people to analyze how I work.
I think because you've been doing it so long, it's easy for you to just go and do it and not think about how you're doing it. So
Maybe some more shields. Also Scron's assets.
Yes, I recognize them as well.
Maybe there's also one training weapon laying on. And people are, when fighting, they get sweaty. They need a towel. So we have one. Here, this one. Or to polish the weapons, whatever. Maybe some arrows as well. Arrow bowl.
Adam says it's because he words good because yeah, we have discussed how much he talks on the server. Because he's on the Discord server, which is where we kind of came up with this idea. So if you aren't a part of the Cantrips Media, Cantrips Canteen Discord, there's links down below. There's also links to Birdie's Patreon. So if you like his work here, you could see some of the stuff that he has. Most of which are free, aren't they?
Basically everything except for the Foundry modules. So all the maps are free.
Yeah, so go check out his Patreon. There's hundreds, maybe thousands at this point, honestly.
No, not 1,000.
It feels
around
like
500.
it. Almost there. That's still a lot of maps. 500 maps.
Okay, another thing we can add to the interior. You see I've placed the statue here because I think this is a perfect area to place a statue. I always place a statue. Right, Matthew? If he's still in the chat, I don't know.
Or he might be. And
that would be paintings. Someone living in a castle probably invests in artists and paintings, hopefully. So we have kind of a wall here where they present them. Another common thing were curtains or wall carpets. Just regular curtains work for everything. You can interpret them as both. Maybe some more vibrant color for it.
He says we do like our statues, so he is, yes, in the audience. Josh says there was a statue there. I just added it as a tile on Foundry as they were meant to interact with it, and it changes. So, yes, interesting.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, sorry. I got that message too.
Another one here. Okay. Hi. I'm not often getting messages, but today it's...
Of course.
I'm not sure how much time we have left, so
it's as much as you want to do. This was the only plan today for the rest of Friday, so...
Alright, then I will at least finish up this layer.
Sure.
We have to make the other one on a different time. Okay. Okay. For the room, something that's off for me is the size of the tables. It's kind of too big, but I'm not sure why, even though they fit. They have the perfect size. Maybe it's the asset. So, sorry, Josh, I'm removing them.
Oh yeah, sorry guys. I did not turn off my notifications for Discord, so they all got... they were listening to the stream and heard the Discord noise. Sorry. That's me. I had streamer mode on, but... it's supposed to auto turn on, but it didn't. Here. There you go. I enabled it. You happy now?
Where is it?
It's supposed to auto turn on though when I have OBS on, but whatever.
Also, by just having different set of assets, it looks so different.
It does, yes.
I would also think of placing the fireplace over here. Because I've added the extension here and it looks like the big chimney.
Mm-hmm. And you put it like in the wall there. It will add.
Yes. So I would also remove the door. This one.
Josh says his also didn't turn on. Okay. Maybe it's his streamer mode didn't turn on for his Discord either. So I wonder if Discord's being just a butt lately. Oh, doors there. Oh yeah, double
Yeah,
doors.
bigger door.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Some of my patrons mentioned that they don't like having this type of small areas, small paths, corridors. Sorry, corridors. This type of small corridors hard to handle. Yeah, so I avoid these. I personally like them. You can create much. Yeah, you can create much more variety with these small corridors, but I'm not used to them.
Yes. I like them as well because I don't feel like most hallways are bigger than 5 feet. Like, you know what I mean? If you think about it, 2 people can fit in a 5 foot wide square, technically. Um, yeah.
Ah, not removing.
That happens to me a lot too, and I have to save, and a lot of times I have to get out and come back in.
Yeah, didn't experience this bug yet.
Matthew says, "Nope,
But
I always walk around in a T pose, so you need the extra 5 foot space."
interesting. Never had this type of bug.
Yeah, this has happened to me
Okay.
before, and I've had to like get out of save it and then come back in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I also think I haven't updated my dungeon draft in a bit,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I need to reload. Yeah, I definitely need to reload. It's just breaking. Maybe it's because the Dungeondraft file is older.
It's possible. Josh says, I like the hallways sometimes. In this instance, I liked it for what they were doing. What do you mean by that,
Exactly.
Josh? Like, because it was tight for fighting?
Mm-hmm. That's what I assume.
Yeah, we played in a or I played in a game on the server, and someone made these really teeny tiny, it was a cave, but it was like really teeny tiny, like winding 5 foot hallways, and I was like, this is creepy. But also caves are kind of like that, creepy tight corridors, like that's kind of what you expect. It adds a choke point if they are breached. You are correct.
Mm-hmm. So for such big halls, I prefer to place either a huge rug in the center or some floor decoration. I have drawn some. I
Oh.
think a griffin would be fitting.
And
One
you
thing I
said
can
you weren't good
show.
at art, but you kind of are. Like, look at these. They look great.
So, this one looks like it's standing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make it look more embedded into the floor. And to achieve this, I pick the same pattern that's above it and reduce the opacity again. Like to start slow values.
Yeah, you can always add.
Of course I need to. So, and we need to pick a pattern that doesn't have a texture on it like the. I think this one correct. Yeah, this one. Same color. Much better. Yeah.
Ah, I
And now it
see. Like all one
looks more
piece.
embedded into the floor.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then probably something would hang here,
Mm-hmm.
or
Oh, bye, Josh.
maybe a
He's got to leave.
oh, it's fine. Oh, yeah. So some kind of throne would be fitting, but as Josh
Mhm.
mentioned, it's an outpost, so not like a throne, but maybe something to represent the king or owner of this keep. Some painting would be fine. Statue as well. Um, and depends on the kind of king, owner. Goes for what? Golden. So,
Uh-huh.
here we go. Then the people I assume this hall will be used for dancing, eating, whatever. So you could technically add a second room with chairs. There's still some space, so we can add some chairs there. And some benches as well. People want to sit. People are lazy. And some wood again. Of course, we have a fireplace. We need some wood. Maybe a bucket.
Yes.
I think the wood would be stored next to the big hall. Looks dirty, messy. Bucket. Then I will speed it up a bit by using my prefabs.
Right, extra chairs.
Yeah, exactly. Have some spare. So, and just to speed it up. So, go over to the rooms and pick the barracks. And there you can see what I think about barracks. People want to have a place to play, to relax. So most of my barracks are type of have some kind of gaming table. In this case, I think I don't know the English name of the game.
I don't know what that
It's
is.
Mensch, ärger dich nicht.
Okay, well, that doesn't help me at all. Maybe someone in the chat knows.
So then some beds. Also on the beds, I place books or personal stuff, like someone's drinking, so there's a bottle under the bed. If he wants to hide it. Some clothing.
Dust.
And if you place some orc or goblin camps, some toys are always good to torment your players. Wait, this goblin had a favorite toy? So here we have a lot of space left. Go by furniture. Not really fitting.
No.
This one's great. Just a classic
Yeah.
drawer with weapons. Yeah, maybe a desk. It seems like it's the boss room. So
Commander.
for most desks, I keep in mind that they have to have some kind of light source. So most desks have a candle or lantern somewhere. Pick a new one.
Yeah, that looks great.
All right. I think maybe here we can add a little bit more. This is perfect. Could add some tools. Of course, ash. I think about the ash and I place everywhere ash.
It's such a small detail though, but it makes a lot of sense.
Tools. And what kind of tools do we need in a smith?
Hammers and I don't know. What do smiths use?
Hammers, tongs.
Oh, bye, Matthew.
Yeah.
He's heading out too.
Yeah. Bye bye. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say for Josh maps. It's basically an unfinished map. It is perfect, but investing a little bit more time and you can get way more out of it. Like here, it just added a few shelves, more shelves, a little bit
Not even that
weapons.
much
Few weapons.
stuff too, you know, you just added a few more things. It's not like it's
Mhm.
completely full, the whole shelf.
So, and here we have a round area, and I hate round areas, circular areas. I never know how to fill them. Rock. Bronze rocks, perfect. And we want bookshelf. This looks like a library area.
You've mentioned a wizard tower, so probably lots of books there.
That's why I hate circles.
He says he's still here. You said you were leaving. He said I probably should have made that room bigger if I wanted stairs. Or maybe make the stairs go with the Oh, I don't know. Cuz I guess you have stairs going up and like a
Yeah,
platform.
it's multi-layered. Up here it goes up.
Yeah.
I think a wizard probably always has a statue. To indicate it's more the wizard area, I use books instead of books. A scholar instead of a knight.
That makes sense.
Anything that's kind of related to this. Here. Maybe more benches.
Adam says, I wonder if there's a path asset that can look like a curved bookshelf. And there are. I know some people have
Yeah.
paths for that. But
Scront and I have made these.
yeah,
So
I feel like
this is mine.
yeah,
Scront also has one.
his is like an empty shelf, and you can add stuff. I think.
Both.
I like yours too because yours has stuff like sticking out of it.
But I think it's fine. This one, I still haven't found circular stairs that I like. So I'm not really happy with these. These are the best I have, but not satisfying enough. And these stairs go up, so they should be a little bit lighter than the floor. Also, the floor is a little bit too empty. I want to change that.
So adding another pattern makes sense.
Yes. Yes. If I don't have ideas to fill it up, then the pattern should be more interesting, and the other way around.
Right. Because otherwise, if it's both, it's too busy.
And there's something I see. Perfect place for a toilet. Maybe some more privacy.
Another door or something. Always have to have a toilet on your map, Josh. That's map making 101.
And also as well, what do people do on toilets? They read stuff.
Oh.
So I pick the small one.
Josh says people don't poop in my fantasy world.
Lucky.
I have a book for you, Josh. It's called Everybody Poops. You should read it to your daughter as well.
And we need a lantern.
Adam says, sucks to be the blacksmith. You gotta walk past the toilet to get to work every day.
That's something I always think of. Especially when creating larger districts, I think about how each person would annoy the other. Another thing that comes to my mind is I don't have ideas how to fill this area. It looks a little bit too bland,
Mm-hmm.
too blunt. I don't want to change the pattern on the floor as well. It fits, so I use chains,
Oh.
which makes it way more interesting than before.
Yeah. Without cluttering it too much. I like that.
I think there's also one more thing I can show. Mhm. These areas, the conversion, the merging of terrain to pattern. There's some trick you can do. Not sure if it works great with these. You need to pick something that's at least close to the color, the one you want. This should be somehow this, yeah, kind of fitting. Oh. This has a black line, doesn't matter. Now we have to pick the exact same color. Important. Copy paste. Paste. Choose a low opacity. Like 10. Really, really low. And
Oh, their circle. Your circle method
maybe
again.
yes. Pick one with high to fix this line here. Oh, change the color. Why? It's not the same color. You kidding? So
Yeah, that looks very nice. Adam says he built a
works for
tavern
everything.
for Fendelvin and included a row of toilets for the patrons to use. My players went nuts when they realized I went that detailed with it. Josh said, my players didn't even realize I didn't add toilets. I mean, that's true. I think most people aren't looking for the toilets, but when you have it, it does add a strange, like realistic take to it, you know?
Even though if you don't use them as a tool in Dungeon D&D Dungeondraft in D&D, it reminds you that people have some needs,
Yes.
basic needs. So like playing in a tavern and just saying that you see some person going on the toilet just because you see as a GM you see the toilet on the map, it makes the setting more alive.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much so satisfied this year, but so great. Sometimes turns out better.
Mm-hmm.
And final thing I can show, adding footprints.
Yes.
Something so simple. And not everywhere. I can think about like these muddy areas, perfect. You leave your prints, but when going over stone, you rarely leave footprints. Unless it's a very muddy area. Like a smith probably has some ash under his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little bit dirty. Something for the smith is missing.
A bucket?
It has
I
water
has
here.
that, yeah.
Maybe a barrel. We can add a barrel. So, KYLIE. Final question.
Oh no, I don't know. What's missing? There's no lights.
Not yet, yeah. True. Let's add some light. But if you were a smith,
I don't know.
how do you light or with
Oh,
what's
like
the fuel?
a wood. You need wood.
Um, you can use wood, but it's not hot enough. You
Oh
need
yeah, cause a
coal
smith.
for
Yeah. Okay.
it. And we also have a perfect spot for it.
In that wagon.
maybe here would be great as well.
Adam
Lower
says
area.
it backfired though. They started trying to RP going to the bathroom, and I had to shut that down really fast. It was the second TTRPG session ever for the 4 of them. Adam added ores or metals for the smith to work. That was his guess.
Mm.
I mean, possibly.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think I would just add plants, and that's basically it. We couldn't do the lighting. The lighting, that's also important. And shadow. There's something I can show. First, let's pick some flowers. Don't like that it's so colorless. Much better.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit too much. So, and shadow. Lighting, shadows. For the shadows, we choose the pattern again.
Mm-hmm.
This one. Go 400. Be around. Layer 4 again. I turn on the snap to grid. Makes it more easily for buildings. Again, the sun is in the top left corner. So a little bit of light goes into the smith area
Mm-hmm.
and stops here. Again, here the structure goes up. We are outside of the map. I need to reduce the size until around this area, I would say. There's some here a little bit further. So here. And now I try to repeat the same structure that I have here. It doesn't have to be exact, but I try to keep 3 blocks away from here and 3 blocks away from the left. Inside here. For the tower, it's probably much higher than the rest of the building.
Mm-hmm.
It would cast a roughly a 45-degree angle here. Until we get here, same. You can see it. I just measure with my 2 fingers on my screen where it roughly ends. So I have an estimation here. With just with the button S, you can turn off the snap to grid.
Huh, I didn't know that one. S to turn off snap.
And for the final step, little edge here.
Yeah.
All right. 7. Okay. Another layer. Day, clone ground. And we can start with the lighting.
And these numbers are just something you found that works over time.
Yes, yes. I would go if you start doing lighting, don't go from the bright to the lowest. Start from the lowest, go to brighter.
Mm.
Easier to figure out which color you prefer. So you can directly click on this to open a menu, but it doesn't save the color in the palette. So it's a one-time use color, basically. If you don't expect it to use the color multiple times, then you can do it. For lighting, it's okay. Usually use it once. Turn on and off these shadows. For the first area, part of the lighting, these outdoor lights, I turn the shadows on. And for the overall lighting, to enlight the map to make it more look like day, I turn the shadows off. So the light goes into the building.
That makes sense.
Bright white color. For the inside, I pick a more orange tone, which reflects the lantern, which I forgot to set lights on the other layer. So much of a problem. These. Also notice here no windows. Doesn't have any windows.
Ah.
So now I place in advance. I know that I will place windows and I place some lights, which is I place some lights where I think windows will be, or where windows are, to create the illusion that light is getting inside the building.
Right. And again, some on the opposite wall.
Yes. Maybe some highlights, certain things. I turn off the block light for windows, so players can look into the building through the windows, but not necessary. So if you want to have openable windows that you can open in Foundry, you need to make block light, which is the standard door function. When placing the windows, I try to switch only between these two, an open and a closed one. I rarely use different ones for cathedrals, larger buildings. I prefer colored windows.
Makes sense.
That's basically it. I don't use anything else. Yeah, some of the stone doors.
Someone asks, are these lighting styles a part of base Dungeondraft or a separate pack you installed? Some of them were a pack, which you mentioned earlier. So go back and rewind a little bit, because I think they just joined. But some of those are just basic ones.
Yep. Okay, here again, I'm lazy. I don't want to place so many light bulbs, so I have prefabs for all the types of lights that already have the light bulbs on it.
That's smart. That's not lazy. That's just smart. It's thinking and saving yourself the step.
It's kind of the same.
Work smarter, not harder. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Final thing, I always add some ropes to the chandeliers.
Yes, because don't they normally lower them to light them? Isn't that normally what happens? So yeah, you would need something to.
And I had 1 or 2 situations where my players intentionally cut the rope and they knew where to go.
Can you change the overall color to simulate times of day? That was a question.
No, that's not what I do. I know other people could do this or are just doing it, but I prefer having the day and night versions being separated. So it's too much. Can you explain it? Basically, I'm using different types of lights between day and night, so I can not just change the color of the lighting.
I think too, like it's better than, because like in Foundry, you can simulate light and day in there. But for me, it just like it makes it too dark sometimes, and sometimes like a lot of players have dark vision, like a lot of their characters have dark vision, so it's like there's no reason they couldn't see at least some details. The only time I change the color of something like that is when I take a map that I haven't made myself, and I recently had to find some more ruined cities for my Drakkenheim game, because Drakkenheim is essentially just a big destroyed city that was hit by a meteor. And so I had to have some random encounters. So I took some maps and I just kind of added lighting effects in Foundry to make it more purplish and like lower the saturation so things looked gloomier. Like that's the only time I do like lighting effects like that. I think because otherwise it's just I think it's too difficult to change all the individual lights.
Yes. Uh, I wanted to experiment a little bit by scripting my own stuff for Foundry because Dungeondraft works with JSON, which is a pretty easy to handle format. And what I was planning for is when I place like a light bulb in an unnatural color, like exactly, let's pick this, right? Exactly this tone. And when I import the map in Foundry, it switches this light bulb to a special effect. So
Mm,
saving some import export, but never really got time to do it.
that would be pretty awesome.
um, so, yeah, that was just a very quick one. Usually something I'm missing. Yeah, I know what. KYLIE, what's missing?
uh, um, what
The
is
four
this?
things that are on every map.
We have rocks and bushes, and now you have little plants. Um, we have a toilet and a statue. I don't know.
The cobwebs.
Oh, the cobwebs. Yes, you're right. Uh, a blood trail. Someone says. I mean, maybe if it was that kind of keep.
Yeah, but one more thing that's also important. A lot of people and keeps, you have some light sources outside.
Hmm. Josh
Having
says
a lantern.
that looks a lot better. Just don't show the other levels. People don't need a reminder of how it started. Oh, there will be a before and after. The before is on the screen, and I'll make it bigger when we're closer to done.
So, I would say this layer is done with the day version.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's also enough for today.
Yes. Wait, let me make Josh's bigger. Zoom in just a little bit. We'll do a little side by side comparison here. So yeah, Josh's is on the right, and then Birdie's edits here on the left. Just saw this live stream. I need to go back to the beginning for all the context. Just commenting for support. Well, thank you for your support. So I think that's it for this time. We have plenty of other maps and people who have suggested things. So yours is not the one on the left, Josh. Yours is the one on the right. So if you guys really like this, let me make me bigger. Or we'll go back to me. So if you liked this, we'll make this map small again too. There we go. If you like this stream, we kind of plan on doing another one. We just haven't decided on the time frame. So leave a comment down below. Tell us your thoughts on stuff. Do you want to see more? We can take more submissions and things like that. It is not exactly the same picture, Adam. Don't encourage Josh. But thank you so much, Birdie, for like giving us some behind the scenes how to, fix up your map.
I will finish up the other maps that I chose, like Kirsty's Crypt. I will finish up Josh's other layers for this one. And I already made and sent you for testing the Goblin Camp.
Yes.
I can quickly show it. And all of them will be released on my Patreon as well. And I will also contact KYLIE when it's time for it. This is the Goblin Camp, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, do I have a before of it? Hold on, let me see if the before.
I think I have it here as well.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, wow, that looks so much different. Yes. So if you liked Birdie's work here, please consider supporting him on Patreon. He also offers pretty much every map that he's made for free, and you can get them on his Patreon. The link is down in the description below. I'll pin a comment too after stream. But yeah, I think that's it for today, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. See you
Yes,
around.
nice to be here again. Bye bye.